When St. Patrick landed on the Irish coast in the 5th century, he faced a violent, corrupt, and pagan culture. The usual strategy of priests was to meet with tribal leaders in councils and win favor with the men. But St. Patrick tried something different. What he was looking for was a mighty change of heart. He knew if you want to change the hearts of the people of a nation, you go to the heart of that nation, the mothers. As the story goes, instead of spending his time in council with tribal leaders, he spent his days at the rivers where the women washed their clothes and his nights at the fires where they cooked their meals. Some say he went to the women first, taught them, touched their hearts, and then those mothers changed the nation. The transformation was so profound, Ireland became a beacon of light for the entire Christian world during the Dark Ages. America also needs a new strategy if we want to remain free. We're witnessing a mighty change of heart, but not in a good way. The American dream didn't used to be prosperity. The American dream was liberty, and prosperity followed. When America ceases to be in love with liberty, she will not only cease to be free, she will cease to prosper. The destiny of our nation will not be determined by fiscal policy. It will be determined by the stories we plant in our children's hearts. Mothers are key. Compare the stories the youth of our young republic were raised on with the stories of today, or rather the lack thereof, and you will quickly discover the root of our problems. Young Americans of 100 to 150 years ago were raised on stories that flowed through hearts of men and women in love with freedom in their country, who were anxious to teach the next generation what they needed to do to hold on to their hard-earned republic. They wove lessons in liberty into all their writings. The youth were told stories of their self-sacrificing and brave heroes, and of what life was like before they were free. They were told stories that showed what virtue looked like, because they knew only a virtuous people were capable of freedom. They were told stories of how faith was the sustaining force through heart-wrenching challenges, and how divine providence smiled upon them and even intervened when hope dwindled. The children of our young republic were raised on the idea that a solemn responsibility had been placed on them, that the eyes of long-oppressed humanity were looking up to them for hope, that their actions not only determined the course of their own lives, but the destiny of unborn millions was at stake as well. In their hearts, they felt it a privilege to be an American. What we're witnessing today is the fallout of too many story-starved generations. Turn our attention back to home and the proper feeding of children's hearts, and the myriad of problems facing government will be resolved even in one generation. We, too, are facing a violent and corrupt culture. Shall we continue to focus on the councils, or shall we shift our energy to the firesides? Restore our stories, and we will restore the heart of America. That's why Libraries of Hope is sending out an SOS. Only as we save our stories will we save our nation. We invite mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts and uncles to join a Liberty Story Group where you can study the same stories told to the youth who went on to build our great nation. We've been collecting them for you. You'll also be given tools to relearn the art of storytelling, an ageless and beautiful art that's the means of carrying ideas deep into hearts. As you relearn our stories and breathe new life into them, we invite you to record and contribute them to an online Liberty Story Bank we've established. Here, young people can once again listen to stories that flow through hearts of patriots, and parents can use it as a resource to find stories to retell around the dinner table or as their children drift off to sleep. That's where destinies of nations are decided. You can learn all about Liberty Story Groups at gardenofliberty.com. In the final scene of the movie Camelot, a weary and sorrowful King Arthur is standing in the early morning fog, dreading the battle of the day. The two people he loved the most have both betrayed him. Night is fighting night. His beloved kingdom is crumbling around him. Suddenly a young boy appears before him. "I wish to become a knight," he declares, "and fight the battle." Arthur looks perplexed. "A knight? Why do you wish to be a part of this extinct profession? What do you know about knights? Have you seen a knight? Did your father serve as a knight? Was your mother rescued by a knight?" "Oh, no, my lord. I've heard their stories. I know all about them. Might for right, justice for all, everything. And from these stories you wish to be a knight? Oh, yes, me lord, a knight of the Round Table. Suddenly Arthur's face brightens. He commands the boy to kneel, and with the sword Excalibur he knights him. And then he commands him to not fight in the battle, but run behind the lines, and to live, so he can spread the stories far and wide of what he sees and knows. A trusted companion appears. Your Majesty, it's time. You have a battle to fight. Arthur looks at him, his face beaming with joy, his eyes brimming with tears. Oh no, Pelly, I've already won my battle, and here is my victory. What we did will be remembered. Indeed, the ideals of might for right and liberty and justice for all have survived through the corridors of time and were carried across the ocean where they were planted deeply in American soil. And still today, so long as the stories live, freedom and justice will always find a home. How many stories of American history can you tell by heart? We hope the answer will soon be hundreds.